They said she wasn't good enough for their son. Too ordinary. Too humble. But years later, when everything they had fell apart, the same woman they once looked down on was the only one who could save them. This is the story of Elena Brooks, and the family that learned too late that pride can destroy more than love. Elena still remembers that night. The dinner that changed everything. She wore her best dress, a pale pink one she'd saved for special occasions. Her hands were trembling when she knocked on that giant oak door. Daniel opened it with a smile. But behind him stood his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Lancaster, the kind of people who spoke with money before words. Mrs. Lancaster's eyes scanned Elena from head to toe. The silence said everything. They sat down for dinner. Crystal glasses. Candles. The air smelled like judgment. Halfway through the meal, Daniel's father asked, "What do your parents do, Miss Brooks?" She smiled politely. "My mom's a nurse. My dad passed away a few years ago." A short pause. Then Mrs. Lancaster said, coldly, "Oh, a nurse. That's nice." The way she said it, it didn't sound nice at all. Elena tried to keep her smile, but inside, she was breaking. She could feel it. They saw her as someone beneath them. When dinner ended, Daniel walked her to her car in silence. She asked softly, "Your parents don't like me, do they?" He looked away. "They just have expectations. Don't take it personally." But she did, because she loved him. A week later, he stopped calling. No explanation. No closure. Just silence. 5 years passed. Elena became a trauma nurse at St. Catherine's Hospital. She'd seen the worst of humanity. And the best. She didn't believe in fairy tales anymore. But she still believed in doing what was right. Then, one stormy night, her past walked right back through those hospital doors. Code blue. Multiple victims. Home invasion. ETA, 3 minutes. Elena rushed to the trauma bay. When the gurneys rolled in, her heart stopped. Daniel Lancaster, unconscious, bleeding. His mother, barely breathing. And his father, in handcuffs, covered in blood. She froze. The past she'd buried was now lying on her operating table. She whispered under her breath, "Oh my God, Daniel." The other nurses didn't notice the tremor in her voice. But she did. Years of pain, rushing back in a single heartbeat. There was no time to think, only to act. Her hands moved on instinct, clamping arteries, stopping bleeding, stabilizing vitals. Life or death hung in the air. After hours of surgery, Daniel opened his eyes. His voice was weak. "Elena?" She leaned over him. "Don't talk. You're safe." He blinked. "You saved me, didn't you?" She didn't answer, because deep down, she wasn't sure how she felt about saving him. While Daniel recovered, detectives began to piece together the story. The Lancasters had lost everything. Their company, their money, their reputation. Mr. Lancaster was under investigation for embezzlement. He blamed everyone but himself. That night, a man broke into their mansion. Demanding the money he said the Lancasters owed him. Things turned violent. When police arrived, Daniel's sister was dead. Mrs. Lancaster injured. And Mr. Lancaster, holding the gun. It looked clear. Too clear. 2 nights later, Elena walked into Mrs. Lancaster's room. The older woman was weak, trembling, but her pride was still there. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "You're the nurse from that night, aren't you?" Elena nodded. "Yes, ma'am." A long silence. Then Mrs. Lancaster said quietly, "I remember you. From dinner." Elena said nothing. Mrs. Lancaster's lips quivered. "I was wrong about you." Elena looked at her, eyes calm. "No, you were just honest about who you were." She turned to leave, but the woman's next words stopped her cold. "Please," she begged, "help my husband. Don't let them take him away. He didn't mean to. He was trying to protect us." Elena froze. After all these years, the same family that once rejected her now begged for her mercy. Later that night, Elena reviewed the hospital reports. And that's when she saw something strange. Mr. Lancaster's toxicology report didn't match the police statement. There was a sedative in his system, something meant to control, not kill. Then she found a hidden note in the digital log, written by a paramedic who was first on scene. Suspect stated, he wasn't supposed to die. Her blood ran cold. Who wasn't supposed to die? The intruder? The daughter? Or someone else entirely? The next day, Daniel asked to see her. He looked pale, haunted. "Elena," he whispered. "Thank you for saving me." She said softly, "Just doing my job." He hesitated. "There's something you need to know." That night wasn't what it looked like. Before he could finish, the door burst open. Two detectives stepped in. Daniel Lancaster, one said, "You're under arrest for the murder of your sister." Elena stepped back in shock. Daniel's eyes widened in panic. "No, my father didn't do it. I was the one who called him there." The officers dragged him away, his voice echoing down the hall. Elena stood frozen, staring at the empty doorway. Her pulse was still racing. Then, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You're next, Nurse Brooks. Stay out of this." The phone slipped from her hand. Elena realized the truth. The invasion wasn't random. It wasn't just about money. Someone was tying up loose ends. And now, she was one of them. She once dreamed of being part of their world. Now she might die because of it. When Elena Brooks opened that message, her blood went cold. "You're next, Nurse Brooks. Stay out of this." No name, no number, just the warning. She stared at her phone, her reflection trembling on the glass. For the first time since that dinner years ago, she felt the same chill. That feeling of being small in a world run by people who thought they owned everything. But this time, she wasn't the same woman. She wasn't powerless anymore. Elena deleted the message. Then she went back to work. Because saving lives didn't wait for fear. The police had arrested Daniel Lancaster for the murder of his sister. But something didn't sit right. The toxicology results. The missing paramedic report. The sedative in his father's blood. It all pointed to one thing. Someone was manipulating the evidence. And Elena couldn't stop thinking about it. After her shift, she accessed the hospital's restricted database. Patient records, timestamp logs, lab entries. And there it was. A deleted test file. The same night of the attack. The name on it was hidden behind encryption. But the technician ID was still there. ID. N. Crawford. Elena's stomach dropped. Nina Crawford. Her old roommate from nursing school. They hadn't spoken in years. Not since Nina left for a private medical contract. Elena found her number and called. 3 rings. Then, Nina's voice. "Elena? Wow, long time." Elena hesitated. "Nina, I need to ask you something. Did you work a case for the Lancaster family?" There was a pause on the other end. "Too long. Too careful." Nina finally whispered. "Elena, don't dig into that. You don't know who you're dealing with." "Who?" Elena pressed. But the line went dead. The next morning, Elena found a small envelope tucked under her windshield wiper. No name. No address. Just her initials written in red pen. Inside was a single photo. The Lancaster family. Smiling. Perfect. Taken years before the tragedy. But in the background, a reflection in the window caught her eye. A man in a black trench coat. Watching them. And written across the back of the photo were 3 words. "He's still alive." Elena took the photo to Detective Rayner, the officer assigned to the case. A man with sharp eyes and a voice that carried too much experience. He looked at the photo, frowning. "Where did you get this?" Elena shook her head. "It was left for me." "What does it mean?" Rayner sighed. "The man in this photo, if it's who I think it is, was declared dead 3 years ago." Elena frowned. "Who?" He leaned back. "Evan Lancaster, Daniel's older brother." Elena's pulse spiked. "But Daniel never mentioned a brother." "That's because," Rayner said quietly, "Evan was erased from every public record after an insider trading scandal. He disappeared. Officially, he took his own life." Rayner slid the photo back across the desk. "But if he's alive, then the home invasion wasn't a robbery. It was a cover-up." That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She replayed everything in her head. Daniel's plea, his father's confusion, Mrs. Lancaster's desperation, and the message on her phone, "Stay out of this." Someone was trying to bury the truth, and she was standing in their way. Around midnight, Elena walked past the records room. The door was slightly open. Inside, the lights were off. She stepped in slowly. The faint hum of the servers filled the silence. Then she heard it. A whisper. Her name. Elena. She spun around. Nothing. Only the glow of the computer screens. But one of them was already unlocked. A file flashing on the screen. It was labeled, Subject, Yell Access, Confirmed. Her initials. Before she could move, a figure stepped out from behind the shelf. It was Daniel. He looked thinner, older, still wearing the wristband from police custody. "Elena," he said quietly, "I didn't kill my sister." "I know," she whispered. "But you need to tell me everything." He nodded slowly. "It was my brother. Evan. He's alive. He came that night. He wanted something from my father. Files. Proof of what the company did." Elena's breath caught. "What files?" Daniel's voice broke. Records. Experiment data. My father's company used human volunteers and paid them to keep quiet. Some of them died, Elena. He covered it up for years. Her stomach turned. This wasn't just a family feud. It was a crime buried under luxury and lies. She whispered, "Where's Evan now?" Daniel looked at her, eyes full of fear. "You don't want to know." Before she could respond, the lights flickered, then went out completely. The room plunged into darkness. A faint red glow from the emergency exit lit Daniel's face. He whispered, "They found me." A crash echoed down the hallway. Footsteps. Fast. Heavy. Elena grabbed his arm. "This way." They ran through the side corridor, past the empty waiting room, past the silent nurse's station. As they reached the back exit, a shadow appeared in the doorway. Tall. Still. Wearing a black trench coat. The same man from the photo. Elena froze. Daniel whispered, "That's him." The man's voice was low. Calm. "You should have stayed out of it, Elena." He raised something in his hand. Not a gun. A syringe. Filled with glowing blue liquid. The emergency alarm blared. Red lights flashed. Elena pulled Daniel through the side exit. But as she turned back, the man was gone. Only the syringe lay on the floor. Empty. The next morning, Elena was called into the hospital director's office. 2 officers stood waiting. One of them slid a photo across the table. A man's body, lying in an alley. Face pale. Veins glowing faint blue. The officer said quietly, "We found this near your car." Elena's hand trembled. It was the same man in the trench coat. The same syringe. But on his wrist was a hospital band. Her name printed on it. Brooks Elena. She stared at it, frozen. Because someone wanted her to see this. Someone wanted her to know that the real experiment wasn't over. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more contents like this.